What's going on, everyone? Derek Soto here at Bloodlines for another great episode. And we're sitting at the staircase of Saint Vitus because we're too good for the couch now. So
it's kind of a creepy vibe to it. I like it.
But it's awesome. Is that Are You Afraid of the Dark feel?
Yeah.
I'm 14 again, you know? And of course, to my left is the amazing Mr. Don Jamieson. Don, how are you doing today?
Thanks. Well, if you're 14, I'm glad I'm not Kevin Spacey.
There you go. No one wants to be him right now.
Could get a little weird.
It's going to get beyond weird. But that's not what we're here for. We're not here for Kevin. No, but it's good to see you, man.
You too, man. I can't believe it's 4 years since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's been around.
Because we've talked, but...
Yeah, well, it's always phone calls with us and stuff like that. Yeah. You're too busy going on tour with everybody.
I know.
Being the head honcho now.
Well, now that I don't have a TV show, I got to do something to make some money. So I've been lucky enough for these bands to ask me to go out and open for them doing my comedy and stuff, and it's been really fun. It's such a different animal than a regular stand-up club, which is
regular theater on top
which
of that.
I love to do, but but playing for the rock crowd, man, is just such a lot of it's so fun.
One of the best things to be in.
They're so loyal, as you know. I mean, we're both hard rock and metal fans, and when they like something, man, they really embrace it and hold on to it.
Yeah, they do, and I mean, they've embraced you for about a year and a half now. You've been on at least 4 or 5 different tours. You know, last year we talked. You were on tour with Hookers and Blow. You went to a fest of Pussycat.
Yeah.
You just wrapped up a tour with Pop Evil, and now you're here with Anvil. So you've been pretty busy.
Yeah, it's good. And I just confirmed a tour for the end of the summer and a Canadian tour, which I can't announce yet, unfortunately. But yeah, so it's cool. The offers have been coming in because I think bands like, to bring a comedian out because it's just me.
Yeah.
Like if we do a bus tour, it's just one bunk. It's not 3 or 4 other guys bringing all their crew and all their drama and all their equipment. It's just like, it's just me. I just put my dirty jokes in my pocket and I'm good to go.
So that's the big difference for you when it comes to going on the road as compared to stand-up, as compared to like theater.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this, touring on a bus and stuff is obviously a different animal to me, but I really kind of love it, man. I sleep pretty well on the bus, and, there's really, the only rules about being on a bus is you can't crap on the bus, and as long as you can control your bowels for a month, you'll be all right.
That's not fair. I mean, it's always fun.
I mean, you're allowed to poop on the tour.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, just not on the bus.
That's an endurance. Hold that up for 3 months.
That's why if you pull into any Walmart anywhere in America,
it's a
you'll see a tour bus parked in the far corner somewhere.
So, the responses for this tour, they've been very positive.
Yeah.
From what you've told me and from prior, everybody loves it. They love you being on the tours, on the shows, as much as you love being at Walmart to poop.
Yeah, well, no, it is a good place to poop because they clean the bathrooms pretty often. But I mean, look, we probably got about 4 or 5 reviews of this particular tour, and they were all really flattering. So that's always nice. I don't want to just say coming from me.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool, man, because I keep the comedy in the sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind of vein. Mm-hmm. So it's not so far removed from what people are expecting. Okay. I'm not up there talking about how crazy my kids are and what it's like to change diapers and how puppies are cute. It's like I'm out there talking about all the bands we love and the music that we love, and like I said, I keep it sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I keep it all in the same family, and I try to bring the same energy to my performance at an opening band would.
Of course, and you do, and I mean, all that energy is put into your 3 records you have.
Yeah.
You have 3 records with Metal Blade. You have Live and Hilarious. You have Hell Bent for Laughter, and you just put out Communications Breakdown back in 2017. That's your most recent one.
Yeah.
So, with all 3 of those records out and doing the comedy show on the road, what's your favorite record to go back to and reflect on out of all those 3 that you take and you use on the road?
I mean, really, it's sort of more about moving forward with the material, because for a comic, it's the opposite of a band. Like, I'm out with Anvil. Their album is called Pounding the Pavement. That's their new album, and so they're going to want to play some songs from their new album. And when a band puts out a new album, their fans want to hear
they gravitate
those songs.
to the new stuff.
When a comic puts out an album, it's like, all right, you don't want to do that material anymore because people have already heard it. And kind of the magic of comedy is you don't know what's coming.
The new stuff.
Yeah, but I always mix in old stuff. I'll do new stuff tonight. I will do some old stuff. So I think the last album, I did some really cool personal stuff about whole middle part of the album is all about rock music and stuff. So I kind of
That makes sense.
I like that hunk of time in that set. So I picked from there as well. But like I said, I continually update the act, and I never do the same show twice. So
Got you. No, I totally understand that. I mean, you gotta keep it fresh. You gotta keep it beautiful for the people. They want to hear different things.
And keep it fresh for me. Like, I don't, I never even know where I'm going some nights. I'm always like, all right. And maybe an old joke from my first album will pop into my head because someone in the audience will say something, or I'll be doing some crowd work and someone will say something, and an old joke will pop in my head and I'll find a spot for it. But yeah, generally, I just kind of go out there, get a vibe, and run with it.
Nah, I hear that. And, funny enough, I think you were on the road when this happened, but, as people probably might know or they don't know, Don used to write for Lisa Lampanelli, also known as the Queen of Mean, who is one of my personal favorite comedians. That woman is evil. And as a roaster, holy shit. So, when she announced that she was retiring from stand-up comedy back in November 2018, I think you were on the road. I cannot remember for the life of me. But she announced that she's becoming a life coach.
Yeah, and when I heard that, I punched her right in her titties because that's a paycheck I'm not getting now. And Lisa, I'm sorry. I know, I know there was some nipple damage, but
she did have gastro bypass surgery, so she lost around 100 pounds. So she's all happy and thin now. So
I'm grateful for all the times that I spent with her and was able to write stuff for her, because she really is a phenomenal comedian. And I'm sad to see her go just as a fan. Mm-hmm. Has nothing to do with the payday. Believe me, I'm as big a fan, if not bigger, as you are.
Agreed.
But yeah,
she did write for her, so you have something on me, clearly.
Well, I got to be the Queen of Mean, but behind the scenes, I got to write all the nasty things, and she got to say them. But I'm really happy for her. She had this profound life change, and I think it even took her by surprise how much that was what was missing in her life. That was so fulfilling to her to have lost that weight, to gain this self-confidence, which she doesn't have to hide with comedy.
Yeah.
And then to have the desire to go help other people. So we emailed a few months ago, and she's like, I still go out and do public speaking all the time, and it's always with humor. He goes, so we'll do some stuff again in the future or whatever. But I said, hey, best of luck. That's cool. I don't know how she's going to do it, man. It's like with bands, right? They always go, this is the farewell tour.
Farewell.
And it never is, right?
Slayer. Kiss, excuse me.
Yeah, and I'm never mad at it. Motley Crue will be back. I said it on that Mellow show to Mick Mars, right to him, not meaning any disrespect. I'm just like, look, it's no band has ever been able to successfully do it, and so they come back. And honestly, again, as a fan, I hope Lisa comes back, and I hope Motley comes back.
Yeah. I mean, to you, in your opinion, what was her impact being on the stage in her career? How did that, at least, how did that look for you? How did she advance women in comedy?
Well, I think because she was first known from the roasts, and I think the comedy business here's a performer with balls. This is a woman comic who's as good, if not better, than most of the male comics, and she takes no crap. And she does her style of comedy with no F's given. And I think, that's important. And, you look at what's going on nowadays with all the PC stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's like you got to keep that. You got to keep sort of that attitude of you can't give in to people, because no matter what, you're going to offend somebody. If you talk on stage for an hour, you're going to say something that offends somebody.
Yeah, it's this day and age now. Everybody has a fucking opinion. I mean, that's the way it is.
And that's okay to have an opinion, but it's like if you're going to come to a
yeah.
comedy show, and this is why I love doing the rock shows, because the rock crowds are generally not PC.
Yeah, and they're not hecklers either.
And generally not hecklers. So, but yeah, sometimes the comedy crowds get a little sensitive, but it's like, well, if I polled the audience and said, hey, what offends you, I would get 150 different responses, so then I would have no material left.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to go up and do your thing, and I think Lisa, obviously she was a trailblazer for women comics, but just also for comics, because it was just like, hey, I got cojones, and I'm going to go out on stage, and I'm going to use them.
I'm not going to be clean. I'm just going to, that's it.
And I'm going to talk the way I talk. But yet, and knowing Lisa like I do, there'd be times on the roast where I could tell some of the jokes against her, she's a woman still,
Yeah.
So she, you can't help take some stuff personally once in a while, but she gave it out hard and she took it hard. Mm-hmm. I love that. I respect her.
And going into hard comedians, because I mean, we're going right from Lisa over to a little guy I know. Little guy named Dice, because I love me some Andrew Dice Clay. You've been direct support for him for about a decade.
Yeah.
On road and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, again, that's
the Clay. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about again a guy who's a trailblazer. And a guy who, if you can play in front of his audience, you can play in front of any audience. Because
ain't that the truth? He's the epitome of what you can do in New York City. If you could make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't sell Madison Square Garden out anymore, but his crowds are still that intensity.
They're still loyal.
So when you do a theater and 1,500 people or whatever, you're still getting that intense kind of crowd, and if you're opening for Dice, you better be good, So I learned quickly, get to the mic as fast as you can before someone yells out, "You effing suck."
Now, was that one of the biggest lessons that you learned when touring with Dice?
Yeah, he was just, that's like going to college for comedy. You can't learn that any other way. So yeah, he's probably done more for me than anybody in the comedy business, to be honest. I hate to ruin his street cred, but he actually is a sweetheart guy.
I've seen him on shows. He always used to do the late night shows with Letterman or Leno or Larry King. I've seen him on stuff like that. There was one that he completely took a shit on this reporter because he was just like, why the fuck you ask me that fucking question? He's smoking his cigarette because he's the only one that can get away with that. And he just walked off the show. And that's how I know, I'm talking to you about it. It's it's college. It's fucking true because there's no one like him. No one.
Yeah, well, he's a character. I mean, he's the tough guy from Brooklyn, and sometimes I think he sees an opportunity to shake things up. And he goes for it. That's that's a good way of getting publicity. And again, go back to the PC stuff. He's got his crowd. He doesn't have to worry about cleaning it up. And I did some shows with him a few months ago. Mm-hmm. And he's in A Star Is Born. This is a movie that won Golden Globes. It was up for Oscars. Yeah. And he's dirtier and filthier than ever. And I go,
still blows my mind that he did that with Bradley Cooper and Gaga.
One of the biggest movies of the year, and you don't, not a care in the world. You have no desire to tone it down or nothing.
He wasn't even acting at the ceremony, which blew my mind because I saw him in the credits. I'm like, bullshit. I did not see the movie, but I knew, I read the IMDb and I was just like, what? It's like, okay, you have to be at the Oscars because we need to see Andrew at least one fucking time. And the Dice Man was not there. The Dice Man did not come to the Oscars, which I was a little disappointed about, but I let it slide.
He's a really good actor. That's, truthfully, that's what he always wanted to do. And that's why he started going on stage, and he's like, he was doing impressions and things like that just to get on stage so people would see him. But he always really wanted to be an actor. So, he's worked now with Woody Allen, Martin Scorsese, and now Bradley Cooper in an Oscar-nominated film. So he's doing all right for the second. He's on the second half of his career, and he's doing what he really wants to do.
Yeah, he's got 3 for 3 with amazing directors, especially Bradley with The Surprise. I mean,
sure.
Getting back to the PC thing and, working with Lisa Lampanelli and working with the Dice Man, how has your routine shaped to dodge people who always seem to have an opinion about things? Have you curved some of your comedic routine to it?
I think, over time what happens is you gain an audience and they expect a certain thing from you. So the people that come to see me kind of know what they're getting. They know I'm going to be edgy. They know there's going to be it's going to be adult humor. It's going to be off color. I'm a nightclub comedian. That's what I do.
Ain't that the truth?
And and so I think they expect that anyway. But I think also, the longer I do this, the more personal I kind of get with my act. And so when you tell personal stories, it's sort of like you deflect a lot of that stuff because people can't say, "Oh, you're making that up," or it's an offensive joke, and go, "Well, it's not really a joke. It happened to me."
Yeah.
So it's you can't really you can't say I'm a this, I'm a that. It's like, this is what happened. This is a story from my life. So I think that helps too to really hone into the more personal stuff.
So you find a relation, you bridge that gap between you and your audience, and that's how you stick with it. No, that's a good routine because I mean a lot of comedy now is all controversial. There's always something, whether it's about race, whether it's about religion, whether it's about
but the comedy's not
politics.
controversial. It's the audience that takes it the wrong way.
The interpretation is different.
There's not a lot of comics out there I'm seeing do tons of edgy material. I just see audiences being more sensitive.
Okay.
You have guys like Dice who are still around, and you have Anthony Jeselnik who's really dark and edgy.
Pete Davidson's like that too.
Yeah, there's comics who still do it, but you see a lot who aren't, and yet there's still controversy. So you're like, geez, who are the people who are really kind of hardcore gonna get by in this PC world? But you figure, it's like anything, you navigate and you find your way.
No, I agree with that. I mean, that reminds me of one of my favorite comedians, Paul Mooney. He had a DVD special, and he made some joke and he offended a couple, and they walked out. And they were right on camera, and he's looking at the crowd. He's like, they thought they were gonna come to see Mickey Rooney, not Paul Mooney. Like it's just shit like that.
Paul walked people every show. Paul was, and still is. He's always 10 steps ahead of most comics, which is gonna make people uncomfortable, and that's all right. I mean, I've seen Paul tons of times, and he's told jokes that even I went, woof, that was rough. But I appreciate him saying them. I got no problem with that. Like, he's got a certain style, and he's got his audience knows what to expect. But if a couple just wanders in on a Friday night thinking this is going to be a fun date night, and it happens to be Paul Mooney, then that date might not end that well.
You're screwed, especially if he brings up OJ jokes, because he's very notorious for those jokes. But speaking about football. You used to be on Inside the NFL with Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jim Florentine. We miss you terribly. And you won a damn Emmy for it. Yeah. How come we have not seen that?
That's the secret to the career, Derek, is don't
show off the accolades.
I've done a lot of things, but I kind of still fly under the radar in a lot of ways, and I really kind of like that.
I've known you for 5 years. I did not know that, and it's.
What am I going to bring it out on stage and show people?
I wouldn't be surprised. You could be like Johnny Cage winning an Oscar.
Wear it around my neck like Flavor Flav, like the clock.
Like the clock. I totally would do that. Jim would do it. I got a funny feeling.
He's got an Emmy too. He doesn't. No, you know what it is? Because you just want to go do your thing. You're not going to go. Sometimes when comics, like when I do a comedy show, Comical, and you go, so this guy won an Emmy, and then everyone in the audience after 5 minutes are like, "Where's the Emmy winner?"
Oh, yeah.
It's like
they label you that
It's
way.
like, no, I mean, it's a great honor, of course. Obviously, how many people have Emmys? So, of course, it's a great honor, but I don't rest. That's not a laurel I'm going to rest on.
That's true.
I got to, as soon as we get done talking, I got to run up and do a show for people, man. So it's not about, hey, I'm an Emmy winner. They can wait for me. It's like, no, I'm blue collar, bro.
I do my thing. That's it,
I
regardless
gotta go work. I put on my hard hat and I get my lunch pail and I go.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, being on TV with that metal show and then you're doing work for Inside the NFL, you jumped right onto Beer Money after that too.
Yeah, sports.
I was watching
love
Beer
sports.
Yeah. Oh wait, you're a Mets fan, right?
Mets fan, yeah.
I had to remember that. I'm a Yankees fan.
Well, I mean, if I was young,
this interview's over. No, I'm just kidding.
No, if I had to if I was younger, I would definitely be I'd be more like the millennials now and do fantasy.
Oh God!
Because it's like how your team changes 75% every year anyway, so it's like I'd rather just root for players, people that I like. But I'm old school, so it's like I stick with my teams, and for better or for worse. Usually for worse.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I understand that. I mean, to me though. Do you miss TV? Do you miss being on television?
No, I mean, I do. I still do guest appearances on TV, and I shot a couple pilots this past year. So, I'll be back on something steady eventually. But the thing I miss about that metal show is, I worked with two of my best friends, and we talked about obviously the music that we love the most, and we support and help bands. So, those are the things I miss about not doing that metal show in particular. Were those things, and if we ever have the opportunity to come back, that's the motivation for me. Is like, we got to go out and help these bands. They need a place. We were their Tonight Show, so
that's true.
If it's not us, I hope somebody else comes along and picks up where we left off, and not like between Headbangers Ball and us, not 13 years. Like, let's get something else going. Again, even if it's not us, if it's you, if it's whoever, it doesn't matter. Let's find a home for these bands again where they can be in front of a big audience.
No, and I totally agree with that. I mean, now that unfortunately that show's over, you have a lot of up-and-coming journalists and people like myself or people like Marissa and behind the camera.
Yeah.
What advice do you have to give to those people who want to one day, resurrect that in their own terms and do things their way for music and musicians?
Oh, I think it's a love of labor. That's all. It's like us doing this right now. It's, this is, you're not getting no one's mailing you a paycheck for doing this. This is
you do it for the love of the game.
You both love to do this for the love of the game, and you're honing your skills, and you're getting to do and to talk to people that you enjoy, and also obviously lend them some kind of press and support. So those are important things. But it's always got to be a love of labor. The three of us on the show, we loved the music legitimately. So to do the show, it always came from the heart. That's the thing. That's why people loved it. It was like, me and my two friends are just like you three guys. We sit around and we talk about this music and beat it into the ground and debate the stupidest things, but because it comes from the heart. So I think that's the most important thing. Do what you do. You're not, the Anvil is 42 years going. They're not going to all of a sudden start playing, Japanese glockenspiel.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's the end thing. It's like, you stick to your guns, you do what you do, and, eventually, hopefully, you find a bigger platform for it and reach more people. And if not, you have a hell of a ride doing it and have a good time.
I couldn't agree more with that. And me honestly, as a fan of yours over the years and as a friend, I really appreciate this interview.
Thanks, dude. Yeah,
this was an absolute
fun,
honor. And if you don't have a chance to see Don Jamieson, you need to make a chance to see Don Jamieson. He's on tour with Anvil right now. Go find him. Okay, find his work online. He's got 3 records with Metal Blade. You cannot go wrong. Please tell us before you go what's going on for the rest of the year if you have plans, because I know you do.
2 tours that I unfortunately cannot announce,
say,
but we'll do a part 2. But everyone can find the dates on donjamieson.com, and I'm on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. You know how to find people on those things. Don Jamieson, Jamieson. Thank you, brother.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles. I'm Derek Soto. This is Bloodlines. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in 2 days, probably. Cool.